Caitlin Clark, America's golden girl, the WNBA's brightest spotlight, the woman who was supposed to save the league, just walked away. Not retired, not injured out, but gone. Packed her bags, crossed the Atlantic, Europe, and baby, the league is reeling.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Let's be honest. From the moment Caitlin Clark got drafted, the WNBA bet the house on her. Billboards, record-breaking ratings, sold-out arenas, headlines on headlines. They crowned her before she even touched a pro court. But what they didn't expect was for her to be the one to call their bluff. Because Caitlin Clark just sent a message, and it wasn't subtle. She looked at the W, looked at the lack of protection, the dirty fouls, the passive league leadership, the public disrespect, and said, "I'm not doing this." And who could blame her? Let's not act brand new. Let's not act like we didn't see her being thrown to the wolves week after week. Hard fouls, no flagrant calls, social media mobs tearing her down just for existing, teammates letting her take hit after hit, while the league stood on the sidelines like, let's just wait this out. She was the face of the WNBA, and they treated her like an outsider. So when the rumors started swirling, Caitlin exploring overseas offers, looking at multi-million-dollar deals in Italy, Turkey, Spain. You know what it sounded like? Freedom. And now, it's reality. Caitlin Clark confirmed it. She's done with the WNBA, at least for now. She's heading to Europe, and suddenly, the entire ecosystem of women's basketball feels like it's collapsing under the weight of one decision. But don't get it twisted. This isn't just about Caitlin leaving. It's about why she left. And it's about what this says about the state of the WNBA. Because this ain't just a player walking away. This is a reckoning. Let's break it down. The W had a diamond in their hands. A ratings magnet. A once-in-a-generation talent. She brought casuals to the sport. She brought dads and daughters, NBA fans, college stands, everybody. She broke records before she ever broke sweat. And what did the league give her in return? Growing shots, elbows, cold shoulders, silence. Let's not forget, this girl was limping through games. Injured, exhausted, fouled hard every night like she was a crash test dummy. And what did the league do? Issue one apology, then another, then nothing. She got disrespected on the court and off it. By players, by pundits, by people who couldn't hold a candle to her resume, but sure had a lot to say. And through it all, she kept her mouth shut. She played. She smiled. She answered every stupid question with grace. She took the high road so many times she should have a toll booth named after her. But now, she's done being the bigger person. And she's not making a scene. She didn't torch the league. She didn't go on a press tour. She just left. Classy, quiet, devastating. Now, the WNBA is in full panic mode. Because what happens when the only person keeping the lights on decides she's not going to play martyr anymore? Chaos. Sponsors? Nervous. TV networks? Already making calls. Attendance? About to dip hard. And the players who stood by and watched her get dragged? They're starting to realize maybe she was holding this whole thing together. The rivalries? Gone. The buzz? Gone. And what's left? A league that thought it didn't need Caitlin Clark until she walked out the door. But let's talk about what's waiting for her overseas. Because Europe isn't just giving her a paycheck. It's giving her peace. It's giving her a kingdom. She's about to be treated like royalty. Private cars, courtside chefs, tax-free contracts, seven-figure deals, trainers, masseuses, teams that protect their stars instead of setting them up to fail. And let's be real, she's already an international icon. Nike money, Gatorade commercials, global campaigns. Her brand doesn't need the WNBA to survive. She's bigger than the league now. Way bigger. So why stay in a system that won't even protect your body? Why keep sacrificing for a league that used your image but didn't protect your name? Europe said, you want respect in a bag? Say less. And Caitlin? She signed. But here's the part that's really going to shake the game. She's not going to be the last. Other players are watching. Top rookies, veterans, international prospects. They're watching Caitlin Clark take back her power. Watching her walk into a world where she's valued properly, paid fairly, and protected like the asset she is. She just opened the door, and now the floodgates are cracked. Because once players realize they don't need to tolerate disrespect to have a career, that's when the game changes. Caitlin Clark just set the precedent. In the league, they're either going to evolve or fall apart. Now, let's be real. Some people are mad. The loyalty crowd. She's abandoning the league, folks. But loyalty is a two-way street. In the WNBA, they never met her halfway. They used her likeness, used her spotlight, used her impact, without ever giving her the protection, support, or community she deserved. So don't cry now. Don't beg now. You had your chance, and now she's gone. So what does that leave us? Honestly, in uncharted territory. The WNBA has never had a star this big walk away in her rookie year. Never had someone shift the entire balance of the league just by leaving. And now, they have to face the music. Because this moment exposes everything. The lack of leadership, the fragile economics, the broken locker rooms, the petty rivalries, the absence of a real player-first culture. It's all in the spotlight now. And Caitlin Clark didn't have to say a word. She just had to leave. So what now? Do other stars follow her lead? Does the league finally put players first? Do they learn how to nurture, not just exploit talent? Because if they don't, Caitlin's move won't just be a personal decision. It'll be a blueprint. And the league? They better pray they haven't already lost the war before they realize they were even in one. Caitlin Clark didn't just leave. She made history. And now, women's basketball will never be the same. Let's keep it 100% real. This wasn't just another player going overseas for a bigger check. This was the player. The one who turned empty arenas into sold-out spectacles. The one who made front-row tickets impossible to get. The one who gave ESPN something to talk about every single night. Caitlin Clark was the storyline. And now, the story's broken. Because when your star player, your savior, your most bankable, most visible, most talked about athlete, decides she's better off somewhere else, that ain't a fluke. That's a failure. A failure of leadership. A failure of culture. A failure of vision. The WNBA had all the ingredients to cook up a global empire. And instead, they overcooked the ego, undercooked the strategy, and burned the bridge with the one player they couldn't afford to lose. Let's talk about why this really happened. Because yes, the money overseas is bigger. Yes, the treatment is better. Yes, the endorsements give her the freedom to move how she wants. But this wasn't about money. This was about respect. It was about being body-checked on national television without a whistle. It was about watching your teammates stay silent while you're fouled harder than an NFL running back. It was about knowing that every time you fell to the floor in pain, the league would be more worried about who was offended by your success than who was actually hurting your body. Caitlin Clark was told to take the hits, to toughen up, to earn her respect. But what kind of league tells its biggest star to just tough it out? What kind of business model treats its top performer like she's disposable? A bad one. A broken one. And Caitlin? She saw the cracks. So she bounced. Now imagine the ripple effect. Imagine you're a future WNBA rookie, bright-eyed, hopeful, watching Caitlin Clark get tackled on national television while the refs swallow their whistles and the league tweets out emojis instead of statements. You watching that, and you're thinking, that's what happens to the face of the league. Yeah, now imagine what happens to you. That's the fear. That's the real story. Caitlin's departure isn't just a loss of talent. It's a collapse of trust. She set a precedent, but not the kind the WNBA wanted. She showed every young player that you don't have to stay loyal to a league that won't be loyal to you. She showed them that their value doesn't begin and end with a WNBA contract. She showed them that freedom is out there, and it's spelled EUROP. And now, the floodgates are wide open. Overseas scouts are already circling. European franchises are sliding into DMs. Agents are drawing up new blueprints. Why fight for scraps in a system that barely protects you when there are yachts, villas, and million-dollar contracts with your name on it in Madrid, Istanbul, or Milan? Why play for a crowd that boos you for existing when you could be worshipped abroad? See, that's the part people don't understand. In Europe, Caitlin Clark isn't controversial. She's historic. She's not a flashpoint. She's a phenomenon. She won't be targeted. She'll be celebrated. They won't ask her to dim her light. They'll build the stage around it. Meanwhile, back in the States, the W is spinning, scrambling, reaching for statements, trying to play it cool like this doesn't change anything. Oh, it changes everything. TV deals, renegotiated, sponsorship dollars, dipping, ticket sales. Watch what happens when the buzz dies. In those heated rivalries they were banking on, Clark versus Reese, Clark versus Copper, Clark versus the world, gone. The juice is gone. The energy, the tension, the drama. Because no matter what side you were on, no matter how you felt about her, Caitlin Clark gave you a reason to care. And now, the silence is deafening. But let's not pretend the signs weren't there. They were. They just got ignored. From the moment she stepped foot in the league, it was obvious she wasn't being treated like the star she was. And people kept saying, she's got to earn it. As if she hadn't already revolutionized the college game. As if she didn't carry viewership on her back through March Madness. As if she wasn't the reason new fans were tuning in, wearing jerseys, buying tickets, tweeting highlights. But the league didn't protect her, didn't prioritize her, didn't believe her. And when she finally said, "I'm out," they acted shocked. Nah, you had your shot. You fumbled it. Now what? Now the WNBA is staring down its own reflection, asking, are we building a league that celebrates greatness, or one that punishes it? Because if Clark is leaving, who's next? What happens when more stars realize they can take their talents overseas and get paid double, get loved, get respected? What happens when Europe becomes the dream, and the W becomes the stepping stone? The league better figure it out. Fast. Because Caitlin Clark didn't just break records. She broke the silence. She walked away. And by doing that, she said everything that needed to be said. And for the fans, this hurts. Because even if you didn't rock with Caitlin, even if you criticized her, even if you rooted against her, you still watched. She made you feel something. Love her or hate her, she mattered. And now, the show just lost its headliner. And the stage looks real empty without her. So Caitlin, if you're out there, know this. You didn't just make a decision. You made a statement. You took your power back. And in doing so, you might have just saved a generation of athletes from thinking they had to suffer in silence to belong. You reminded the world that talent is currency. And baby, you're rich. So go to Europe. Shine. Dominate. Live. Because while the WNBA tries to figure out what just hit them, you're already on the next chapter. And the game will never be the same. The WNBA, for all its history, for all its power, for all the battles it's fought to stay standing, is sitting in silence right now, shaken. Like somebody just cut the lights off at the party and left the DJ booth empty. The music's still playing, but nobody's dancing. And the reason? Caitlin Clark was the rhythm. She was the electricity running through the veins of this new generation of fans. The reason college basketball numbers cracked NBA levels. The reason dads were watching with their daughters and teenagers were learning to shoot logo threes in the driveway. She was the moment, but also the movement. And now she's gone. Not traded. Not benched. Not sidelined by injury. She chose to walk away. Let that sink in. The biggest star the W has ever had, the face of the league before her first season even finished, walked out willingly. And not because she wasn't good enough. Not because she failed. She walked because she was too smart to stay somewhere that refused to value her. Let that echo. Caitlin didn't leave because she couldn't handle the physicality. She left because she couldn't respect the hypocrisy. They used her to sell tickets, used her to push narratives, used her to inflate value. And then, when she needed protection, real protection, not PR tweets, she got shoulder-checked into silence. You don't think she noticed? Of course she did. Every time someone fouled her without consequence. Every time someone questioned her toughness for not fighting back. Every time she carried the brand, the audience, the weight, and got barely a whisper in return. She saw it all. She felt it all. And now she's done playing the martyr. Let's be real about something nobody wants to say out loud. The WNBA was not ready for Caitlin Clark. Not on the court. Not in the locker room. Not in the boardroom. They saw the shine. The followers, the camera angles, They saw dollar signs and opportunity, but what they didn't see, the responsibility. You can't crown a player and then leave her unprotected. You can't celebrate her in headlines and then abandon her when the elbows start flying. You can't make her the centerpiece of your league and then expect her to stay quiet when y'all keep letting her get targeted. This ain't just about fouls. It's about failing her, failing to lead, failing to unite, failing to treat her like the asset she is, not just for the now, but for the future. And that future? It's looking a whole lot more international now. Because let's talk about what Caitlyn's stepping into. We're not talking about some dusty European league with echoey gyms and folding chairs. We're talking first-class treatment. We're talking teams that invest in their stars. Teams that fly players private, feed them gourmet, house them in penthouses, and pay them handsomely, with no gender pay gap drama, no jealous teammates, no league infighting. They don't just accommodate talent out there. They worship it. Caitlin Clark walking into Europe? That's not an athlete joining a roster. That's a celebrity arriving in a kingdom built for her. And the way the fans overseas are already reacting, they're rolling out the red carpet. Banners, billboards, whole cities excited to see her land. Because over there, it's not, why is she getting all the attention? It's, how do we give her more? Over there, you don't get dragged for being too successful. You get celebrated for it. And back home, the WNBA is sitting with the emptiness they created. Because now they're forced to ask the questions they ignored for too long. What happens when your biggest star no longer trusts your structure? What happens when other players see Caitlyn winning bigger outside the league? What happens when the fans, the new ones who came strictly for her, turn the channel? Because let's be honest, a lot of those fans, they didn't care about the W before Caitlyn. They came because she was that magnetic, and the league knew it, used it, relied on it, but didn't protect it. And now they're about to pay the price. TV deals? They'll survive for now. Sponsorships? They'll shift. But that buzz? That wildfire feeling the league had every time Caitlyn hit a deep three or gave a stone-cold stare after a dagger. That's irreplaceable. And now it's gone. Let's get even deeper. Because Caitlyn didn't just leave for herself. She left for the message. She left to remind every little girl watching that you don't have to stay somewhere that diminishes you. That you don't have to be the bigger person when everyone's acting small. That loyalty is beautiful, but self-respect is essential. And whether you love her or not, whether you agreed with the hype or rolled your eyes every time her name trended, you can't deny what she stood for. She stood tall, took every hit, never lashed out, never folded, and when it was finally too much, she didn't cry for help. She moved accordingly. That's power. That's unapologetic womanhood. And in doing so, she changed the game. So now, the question isn't, why did Caitlin Clark leave? The question is, who's going to follow? Because the next domino is already shaking. And the W knows it. Every rookie, every prospect, every agent with eyes on the global scene is watching how this plays out. And if the W doesn't pivot, fast, loud, and with integrity, then Caitlin Clark will go down not just as a basketball icon, but as the trailblazer who showed the door to every other future superstar who's tired of shrinking to fit a broken system. So Caitlin, wherever you are, Milan, Madrid, Monte Carlo, just know, you didn't quit. You claimed yourself. You didn't abandon the league. The league abandoned you. And you didn't just make a career move. You made a cultural shift. And that shift, it's only just beginning. So lace up, glow up, and show the world what it looks like when a woman finally chooses herself. They thought she needed them. They thought Caitlin Clark would be too scared to walk. That the bright lights of American basketball, the national media machine, and the allure of saving the league would keep her on a leash. But what they forgot, she already built her own empire. Before she even laced up a pair of pro sneakers, she had more fans, more revenue, and more leverage than half the league combined. She didn't need the W. The W needed her. And now, without her, they're exposed, stripped bare, vulnerable. Because all those sold-out arenas, that spike in ratings, that wave of new fans, new sponsors, new cultural energy, that was her, not the league. Her. Caitlin was the moment. And now that the moment's gone, the WNBA's staring into a mirror and the reflections looking real unfamiliar. Let's keep it all the way real. This wasn't just a bad breakup. This was a walkout. And what's wild, Caitlyn didn't drag anybody on the way out. No messy tweets. No press conferences throwing people under the bus. She didn't expose names, didn't drop receipts, didn't air out the backroom politics. She didn't have to. Her silence spoke volumes. Because when someone this powerful leaves without even fighting to stay, that means they already fought behind the scenes and lost. And what's left is a woman who's no longer waiting to be appreciated. She's not begging for better treatment. She's not waiting for league leadership to wake up. She just said, "Watch me do it without you." And now, the league's got nothing left to say. Because when you let the best thing that ever happened to your league walk out the door, quietly, cleanly, and with more dignity than you ever gave her, you don't get to spin the narrative. You just sit in the ruins and rebuild. Or don't. But either way, Caitlyn's already gone. Already overseas. Already smiling. Already free. And you know what? For the first time since she entered the WNBA, she finally looks happy. That should tell you everything you need to know.